John Marie in the Wiz taking you up to 3 p.m. And this afternoon, Pastor Wiz will be telling us how love finds contentment. In 1 Timothy 6, verse 6, it reads, "Godliness with content is a great gain." That certainly is. So let's listen to what Pastor Wiz has to say to us.
If you are easily angered, it's an indicator that a hidden area of selfishness or insecurity is present where love is supposed to rule, and selfishness wears many masks. Lust, for example, is the result of being ungrateful for what we have and choosing to covet or burn with passion for something that is forbidden. When a person's heart is lustful, it will also become easily frustrated and angered. Lust is never satisfied and will produce a lifetime of frustration if it is not repented of and released from your life. Greed is another indicator of inner selfishness. Wanting more money and possessions will frustrate us with unfulfilled desires. Strong desires coupled with dissatisfaction lead you to lash out at anyone who stands in your way. Love will lead you to be grateful instead of greedy, and to be content rather than chasing unhealthy desires. When you allow God's love to rule your heart, it will result in true satisfaction. When love becomes your greatest motive, it lights a pathway to contentment.
Lust and greed.
Those are not good things.
Not good things.
No. The powerful emotion of anger flares up quicker than our better judgment can head off sometimes, It sometimes rises up within us, leaving only a few seconds for us to choose whether or not to act on it. And so we have to be very careful with that, Pastor. So if or when we recognize its appearance and we realize it, we realize that it wants to take us over, then the wise thing to do is to restrain from it. You see, and that's what we have difficulty with sometimes in trying to restrain from it, because it's like, I know that you're somebody else's lady.
That's right.
But you're a beautiful lady. And my heart says yes.
Right.
I want her. But it is not the right thing to do.
Yeah,
and case in point is just David. David.
That's why he got into trouble.
That's why he got into trouble. He saw this beautiful woman,
and she belonged to someone else.
Somebody else.
And he could have had anyone. But she was that. She was all that.
Right. And he took her.
Yeah, which was the wrong thing to do. And he repented. He repented. If you read Psalm 51, he really repented. That's why God said he's a man after my own heart, because he understood that he did wrong, and he was sorry for what he did, and so he really begged for forgiveness, but we can learn from all of the mistakes that other people have made and make our lives better. We don't have to go through all of that, because we know the outcome, we know the consequences. So we should therefore, be better people. And of course, when you're married, you need to stick to your wife or your husband, because then that's the only way it's going to work. If you are dibbling and dabbling, as you say, all over the place,
if you laddy-daddy,
it's not going to work. And I see Sharon just laughing over there, but it's a fact, it is a fact.
But let me say though, if our love is to be like God's love, it must be slow to anger, ready to release, and quick to forgive. And so there are those of us who doesn't mind being forgiven. But for the love of God, how do you forgive? You know what I mean? You want to be forgiven, but you just don't want to forgive.
Yeah.
And you have to if you want your relationship. Because remember now, none of us are perfect.
We have to remember, we have to follow the example of Jesus Christ. He forgives us of all our sins. So that's the big example we need. If he can forgive us of all the things we have done, why cannot we forgive each other?
You know, I mean, even though we get angry sometimes, you know what I mean? But we have to remember that we have to, you know, keep it under control. You know, we have to let love be superior to the anger.
Right.
You know, and then you'll be able to, you know, keep it at a minimum, keep it under control. Because if you can't keep it under control, this is why you hear all these crazy things are happening. You know, a lady and a guy, wife and husband get together, and they're going to be separated. And before you know it, in the midst of the separation, there's violence. You know, because this person, he needs a course in anger management or something, where it's just uncontrollable. You know, and it's disastrous that way. And so we just have to learn to just, you know, take a deep breath and count from 1 to 10 and go take a walk.
Take a nice walk.
Take a nice long walk and drink a good glass of lemonade.
Lemonade. That's the best drink you can find, you know, because it has a lot of vitamin C coming from the lime, and that's the best drink.
And so that brings us to the conclusion of our love segment this afternoon. Just remember, restrain from anger. Just restrain from anger. I know it's easier said than done, but it can be done. And it is something that if you practice, it'll just fall into place. It becomes natural to you. You know, just, I mean, oftentimes, you know, I'm there, you know, and I have to hold myself back and say, no, Pastor.
Pastor. All right. You heard him. That concludes our segment here on WAVS Radio. Tune in next week, Tuesday afternoon, for another love segment.
Let's do this.
Oh, yes. I got a big kiss for the camera. If you missed this or if you want to tell someone about it, you can check us out on YouTube, Wisdom Sabbath Video. That's right. YouTube, Wisdom Sabbath Video. Or you can go to Love Lives in Me Too. The number 2. Love Lives in Me Too. So there are 2 channels. You can go to YouTube and check us out there. Tune in next week, Tuesday afternoon, for the radio listeners to another edition of the Love Segment.